Welcome to The Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. After 70 days of inaction on the border crisis, Biden has now tapped Kamala Harris for a new task: lead the charge against Republican state election integrity measures. In the Senate, the H.R. 1 election reform bill is facing an uphill battle. Biden is now pressuring two Democrat senators to drop their support on the filibuster. Thousands of Dr. Fauci's emails have been leaked. The communication suggests Fauci knew more than he said about the origins of the virus. A GOP delegation from Pennsylvania took a trip to Maricopa County, Arizona to learn about the audit. Will it lead to something similar in Pennsylvania? Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Ahead of the results of an environmental impact review, the Biden administration suspended oil and gas drilling leases in Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge on Tuesday. Biden had placed a temporary hold on new leases in the region on his first day in office as part of his Green New Deal. Then on June 1st, Secretary of the Interior Deb Haaland officially declared all activities in the region suspended pending analysis. The wildlife refuge spans about 19 million acres in the northeastern Alaska. The land is abundant in oil, estimated at 10.4 billion barrels. By comparison, North America's largest oil field, Prudhoe Bay in Alaska, has 25 billion barrels. Congress in 1980 designated more than 8 million acres within the region as federal wilderness, and drilling initiatives were supported by a majority of Alaskans at that time. The refuge was nearly open for drilling in 1995 until President Clinton vetoed a Republican bill. In January, President Trump issued a 10-year leases on more than 430,000 acres of land, aiming to make the United States energy independent. However, the drilling plan took another turn after Biden took office. Political leaders in Alaska have long backed opening the coastal plain. Senators Lisa Murkowski and Dan Sullivan from the state criticized the administration's order. Murkowski said, "This action serves no purpose other than to obstruct Alaska's economy and put our energy security at great risk. Alaskans are committed to developing our resources responsibly and have demonstrated our ability to do so safely to the world." Republican Governor Mike Dunleavy denounced the suspension as egregious federal overreach that's turning Alaska into a giant national park. After canceling the Keystone XL pipeline and pausing natural gas permits on federal land, the Biden administration just issued another blow to the country's energy independence. The direct impact is gas prices are soaring across the country. Natural resources are a gift. Blessed by this gift, we should find the balance between using the resources and preserving the land. You can't go to either extreme, exploiting the resources or not utilizing them at all. Biden's Department of Homeland Security is considering bringing back illegals deported by the previous administration. More than 935,000 illegal immigrants were deported during the Trump era. Border activists and the National Immigrant Justice Center are lobbying the White House to implement the plan by executive order. They suggest Homeland Security open an office that allows deported illegals to submit requests to return to the U.S. The Biden administration is already considering amnesty and reparations to more than 1,000 illegals deported by the Trump administration. American Civil Liberties Union, an organization representing illegal immigrants whose children are still in the U.S., is expected to negotiate with the Biden administration. Today, there are between 11 million and 22 million illegal immigrants living in the country. In a recent Gallup poll of 450 million adults living in Latin America and the Caribbean, a staggering 42 million people said they wanted to migrate to the United States. After 70 days of inaction on the border crisis, Biden tapped Kamala Harris to lead the charge against GOP's election integrity measures. In a news release on June 1st, Harris claimed, quote, "Our democracy is strongest when everyone participates, and it's weaker when people are left out." She said the hard-won progress of democracy is now under assault. How so? She explained that since the last controversial presidential election, more than 380 election reform bills have been introduced across the country. The majority of these bills were sponsored by Republicans as their legislative effort to ensure the integrity of the future elections. In other words, it will be harder to cheat. The left understands this very well, but they will never acknowledge this. To push back GOP's voting laws, the left wants the public to interpret those measures as making it harder for Americans to vote. And that's the selling point of the Democrats' H.R. 1. The For the People Act, or as many others would call it, the Corrupt Politician Act. Democrats say H.R. 1 would provide all Americans with fair and accessible voting options. What they don't tell you is that those voting options would also be extended to non-citizens. The act protects illegal immigrants from prosecution if they are registered to vote automatically and never make an affirmation declaration of their identity. The act also pushes for nationwide vote by mail without photo ID. And when an individual applies even once for a vote by mail ballot, he or she must be considered a permanent vote by mail voter. The list of such unreasonable provisions in the Democrats' bill is long. No one who cares about election integrity is going to vote for H.R. 1. The Biden administration faces an arduous battle to get the bill and another Voting Rights Advancement Act passed by the Senate, where 60 votes must be garnered. But the Democrats haven't given up. They want to change the rules and abolish the filibuster. Without the filibuster, and with a 50-50 Senate chamber split, Harris could cast the deciding vote to pass any Democrat-sponsored bills. However, two Democrat senators, Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, are in the way of breaking the long-standing Senate procedure. On June 1st, even Joe Biden joined forces to pressure the two senators to concede. Biden said, quote, "I hear all the folks on TV saying, why doesn't Biden get this done? Well, because Biden only has a majority of effectively 4 votes in the House and a tie in the Senate, with 2 members of the Senate who vote more with my Republican friends." No, that's not the reason why. It's the bills that have problems, not the composition of the chambers. In addition, Sinema and Manchin haven't voted more with Republicans. In fact, they both voted in line with Biden's agenda 100% of the time over the past 4 months. It's alarming that Biden didn't know this and said the opposite. Nonetheless, on the issue of the filibuster, Sinema and Manchin haven't budged on their position. The two have been harassed by the relentless lobbying effort from the press, their state, and Congress day after day. On April 7th, Manchin published an opinion piece in the Washington Post where he articulates the consequence of dropping the filibuster. If the filibuster is eliminated or budget reconciliation becomes the norm, a new and dangerous precedent will be set to pass sweeping partisan legislation that changes the direction of our nation every time there is a change in political control. The consequences will be profound. Our nation may never see stable governing again. He also made his stance clear. To remove any shred of doubt, there is no circumstance in which I will vote to eliminate or weaken the filibuster. But that doesn't stop reporters from asking him the same question over and over again. On May 27th, when a reporter from CBS News asked him if he'll change his mind on the filibuster for the January 6th commission, Manchin replied, "I'm not separating our country, okay? I don't know what you all don't understand about this. You ask the same question every day and it's wrong." On the same day, a CNN correspondent asked him the same thing. Manchin replied, "I'm not ready to destroy our government. I'm not ready to destroy our government, no." And yet the media's obsession with Manchin's commitment to the filibuster continues. Now, I came across a refreshing discussion on hope from an Epoch Times article written by MC Fergal yesterday. I put the link to the article in the description. The author says, if you ever feel trapped or experience difficult circumstances that lead you into wishing for a new life, there's one thing you can do, and that's have hope. However, real hope isn't just being optimistic. It's when things become most discouraging and you continue to still have hope. Now that real hope takes courage. At Eye Opener, we believe the deeper meaning of having hope is to have unshakable faith. Whether you believe in a higher power or not, we believe that every person on this earth has a higher purpose in life. We hope our show could connect you with that higher purpose and encourage you to strive for the better, regardless of the challenges. Now, if you agree with our values, please support our show and share the channel with your friends and family. We are all in this together. First, it was Colonial Pipeline, America's largest pipeline system, that was cyber-attacked, leading to widespread gas shortages in the Southwest. Now it's JBS SA, a Brazilian company and the world's largest meat producer. 20% of America's beef production has been wiped out following a cyber attack on the company's computer network over the weekend. JBS's 5 biggest beef plants in the U.S., which altogether handle about 22,500 cattle a day, all stopped production following the attack. Operations across Australia were also down, as well as one of Canada's largest beef plants. The mere possibility of more shutdowns around the world is hitting the agricultural markets and raising food security concerns as hackers increasingly target critical infrastructure. The White House said Tuesday that, again, Russia was likely the origin of the attack. Deputy Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said JBS notified the administration that the ransom demand came from a criminal organization, likely based in Russia. Jean-Pierre also said the Biden administration has offered to assist JBS and confirmed the FBI has launched a probe into the matter. Will the Biden administration offer more tangible help to make sure there won't be a meat shortage in the country? We'll have to wait and see. America is waiting for the downfall of Dr. Anthony Fauci. It's already started. Thanks to BuzzFeed, the public now has access to over 3,000 pages of his emails. It'll take some time to examine them all, but something interesting has already grabbed people's attention. More than a year ago, Fauci firmly defended the theory that the virus evolved naturally, citing scientific evidence. However, on January 31st, 2020, more than 2 months before the WHO declared a pandemic, Fauci sent 2 researchers a copy of the Science magazine article titled, "Mining Coronavirus Genomes for Clues to the Outbreak's Origin." One of the researchers, Christian Anderson, replied, saying, quote, "One has to look really closely at the sequences to see that some of the features look engineered." Anderson also noted, and I quote, "All find the genome inconsistent with expectations from evolutionary theory." On April 18, 2020, Fauci received an email from Peter Daszak. Daszak is the president of EcoHealth Alliance, through which Fauci, as the director of NIAID, sent $3.4 million in grants to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Part of the grants went to funding the lab's coronavirus gain-of-function research. In the email, Daszak wrote, "A personal thank you for publicly supporting a natural origin for COVID-19 from a bat-to-human spillover, not a lab release from the Wuhan lab." Of course, both Daszak and Fauci have a powerful reason for pushing back the lab leak theory. They funded the lab. We don't want to spend time discussing Fauci's flip-flopping and inconsistent advice on wearing masks. That's not productive and has already been widely covered by many media outlets. We want to point out the biggest danger Fauci poses, which is his close relationship with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Why would an American doctor ever want to fund a virus lab owned by a regime that's hostile to the United States, the Chinese Communist Party? How much did Fauci help Beijing downplay the virus during the early stage of the outbreak? In other words, how close is Dr. Fauci with the CCP? These are the questions we need an answer to, and Dr. Fauci should be put under federal investigation for the answers. However, what's intriguing about Fauci is, even with his credibility shattered and how he handled the coronavirus pandemic, Fauci is set to release a book about truth. His 80-page book titled Expect the Unexpected, 10 Lessons on Truth, Service, and the Way Forward will be released in November. Is Fauci attempting to profit from the COVID-19 pandemic before his final fall, or is he testing the public's trust in him? By no surprise, the news of the book release received intense backlash. Someone tweeted, "I really need the people in charge of handling this pandemic to stop writing books about how they're handling this pandemic while they're still doing it." Fox News contributor Sarah Carter called the idea of Fauci writing a book on truth a joke. Another Fox contributor, Joe Concha, compared Fauci with New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signing a 7-figure book deal about his efforts during the pandemic. Now, of course, Cuomo didn't talk about how his handling led to tens of thousands of deaths in nursing homes. While some said what's expected is people like Fauci wanting to publish a book, many questioned the seriousness of the book. Independent journalist Jordan Schachtel tweeted, "Fauci's book is 80 pages long. He has been a bureaucrat for 56 years. I suppose not a lot of accomplishments to discuss." It turns out Fauci had probably missed the right time to publish his book. After a day of criticism, the book has been taken down and changed on major online listings. As of Wednesday morning, Fauci's book has been scrubbed from Amazon. Only a cached version of the listing still displays its promotional description and pre-order status. Barnes & Noble also removed the book. Now, finally, we have an update on the Arizona audit. A GOP delegation from Pennsylvania took a trip to Maricopa County to observe the ongoing audit on Wednesday. Pennsylvania House Judiciary Committee Chairman Rob Kaufman, State Senators Doug Mastriano and Chris Dush, all Republicans, headed west to meet with Arizona state legislators and learn from their audit. Kaufman said, "I kind of see this as a fact-finding mission to see what's happening on the ground in Arizona, how it's happening, and if it's something that should be done in other states." When asked if the trip could lead to a similar audit in Pennsylvania, the trio couldn't say definitively. Senator Dash replied, if they bring some substantial information back to their state, he could see the audit happening. Back in Pennsylvania, every time Kaufman opens his inbox, he finds it filled with requests crying out for an Arizona-style forensic audit. Dashi and Kaufman in November called for a statewide audit of the election, citing reports from the media and from Pennsylvanians concerned over voting irregularities. Kaufman and other state Republicans the following month said an analysis of election data revealed troubling discrepancies between the vote count and the total number of voters. However, nothing has really happened since then. We hope Republicans in Pennsylvania will fight as hard as their Arizonian peers to restore people's confidence in the election. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out this playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me on the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, and Parler. Don't forget, please sign up to our email list so that we can stay in contact with each other. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.